A message has been received from the Lords that the Lords agree to the Post Office Horizon System Offences Bill, with amendments to which they desire the agreement of the Commons. The Lords' amendments are available online and in the Vote Office.
Post Office Horizon System Offences Bill, consideration of Lords' amendments.
Now.
Yeah, very good. Quite right, too.
Very good. Before we move to consideration of the Lords' amendments received today, I can confirm that nothing in the Lords' amendments engages Commons financial privilege. We will begin with the Government motion to agree with Lords' Amendments 1, with which we will consider the other Government motion to agree with Lords' Amendments 2, as listed on the grouping paper, and I call the Minister to move the motion to agree with Lords' Amendments 1. Minister.
Well, thank you, Mr Speaker. I beg to move that this House agrees with the Lords in their Amendments 1 and 2. Mr Deputy Speaker, this is an historic day. It has been a great privilege to be the Bill Minister for this legislation. Can I particularly thank our officials for moving with lightning speed to move this legislation forward to this point, only 5 months from commencement. Can I also thank all members on either side of the House, in both Houses, for all their cooperation and a collegiate approach to this legislation, and indeed the opposition front bench, who have provided great support for this, and which we greatly appreciate. Can I thank the Justice Secretary, my own Secretary of State, and indeed the Prime Minister. This would not have been possible without their support. It is a historic day, as I say, because convictions will, as a result of this legislation, be overturned on royal assent, and with His Majesty's agreement, that means they will be overturned tomorrow.
The question is that this House agrees with the Lords in their Amendment 1. Rushanara Ali.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. Alongside the contaminated blood scandal, the Horizon scandal remains a terrible stain on our nation's recent past. It's one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in our nation's history, and we've heard over the course of the debates in this House and through this legislative process the testimonies of victims expressed by members across the House, and we've heard the lies and the obfuscations of those who were responsible. And that has made, quite rightly, members of both Houses angry and members of the public deeply frustrated and angry at the injustices that sub-postmasters and their families have faced. And, Mr Deputy Speaker, it is right that the Government has introduced the legislation to exonerate those who have suffered for so long. Our time for the bill today it allows us to ensure that this bill reaches its concluding stage. In this wash-up, we must not lose sight of the task at hand. We must make sure that the hundreds of innocent people who were wrongfully convicted get the justice that they deserve and the compensation and exoneration that is desperately needed. We, on this side of the House, have supported this bill and support the independent inquiry and wish to see it continue in its work. Even this week, with the testimony of Paula Venables, shocking new information was being revealed, and we will continue to press for justice for the victims. The Minister, in the previous readings of this bill, provided assurances that he will take an undertaking to ensure that those who were on the capture IT system, those cases are looked at, while this bill doesn't fully cover the wider extent of the scandal, and that the company responsible for Jitsu and its executives honour the commitment that they made in terms of providing the compensation rather than leaving it to taxpayers. I hope he can update on any progress he's made since his undertaking when the bill came to the House recently. This Parliament will soon dissolve, but Ministers of the Crown carry on for a few more weeks. So I hope that he will make every effort to make sure that as much progress is made as possible to ensure that the families receive the redress that they desperately need. In the other House, my honourable friend highlighted from the front bench, Labour front bench, the points raised by Lord Arbuthnot in terms of his desire to see those convicted by the Court of Appeal included in the bill before us today. And at the time of speaking, the government opposed that. We are sympathetic, but nevertheless remain opposed to Parliament becoming, in effect, as he said, the appeal court for the Court of Appeal. However, we would support appropriate proposals that would give the 13 people not covered by this bill the opportunity to seek redress in the courts. And I hope that the Minister is able to look at what might be done and work with Lord Arbuthnot and others in terms of finding a solution that is satisfactory for those 13 cases. In conclusion, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'm grateful to colleagues across the House for the work they've done in this House as well as the other House, and particularly the Members of Parliament who worked so tirelessly to ensure that the plight of sub-postmasters and their families is raised. And what their work highlighted, as has the other scandals, including the contaminated bloods scandal, is that it's the constituency connection. It's our relationship with the people we represent that is often the most powerful insight into seeing injustices early on and seeing broader patterns that expose major failures in our systems, be that in the contaminated blood scandal or the Horizon scandal. And the message is very clear. Whoever is in power, whichever party is in power, ministers, civil servants, those in positions of power must listen very closely and not dismiss the concerns, both of members of Parliament who raise those cases, which can expose a bigger pattern of injustice, but also ultimately to the citizens that we represent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before I call Kevan Jones, I'm going to call Marion first, but I just want to say, I might as well say it now. Earlier today, Kevan Jones announced that he was not standing again at the next election. Cheer. And can I, on behalf of all the victims, thank you, Kevan, for the doughty fight that you have done on behalf of all of them. You have been absolutely amazing in what you have done. You're sitting next to Jackie Dole-Price, and I knew it was only a matter of time before she crossed the floor. More amazing things have happened recently, so that it doesn't surprise me. Marion Fellows.
I thank you very much, Mr Deputy Speaker. I had decided I wouldn't speak, but I feel compelled to. I think I am very pleased that this bill has passed. I'm very pleased that all the victims who have been exonerated by this bill will be exonerated tomorrow, except for those in Scotland, and I'm still unhappy about that. I think it is a huge pity and shame that it didn't happen, and that the 3 sub-postmasters who came down here specially the last time this bill was before us in this House didn't even get a chance to hear what was being said because of the ways of this House where nothing is ever fixed, and you can bring people 400 miles and they have to go back the same day and they can't stay. I also want to pay huge tribute to, I think I can safely say, my right honourable friend, the member for Durham North, for all the counsel and help he has given me. I've already made a little tribute earlier today, but I also could not possibly not say thank you to Lord Arbuthnot and to the honourable member for East Antrim, who so stoutly defended Scotland the last time this bill was in the chamber. This place is sovereign, but not when it comes to Scotland. So I have to say, independence better come soon.
Our right honourable friend, Kevan Jones.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Minister. Thank you very much for your kind words. I think this will be the last time I'll speak in this chamber, and I can't think of a more fitting debate to speak in, because it is a culmination of many years of fight. I played a small part in getting justice for the sub-postmasters. It was Alan Bates and the families that went through the complete nightmare which they did, and they're going to get justice, hopefully, and the truth when the inquiry reports next year. But this bill is very important because it was going to be important in terms of those individuals who, unless you've actually sat with a lot of these victims, would not come forward to have the stain on their reputations cleared and their access to compensation. It's been a long fight, and I've got to put on record, as just been said, my partner in crime, Laura Bethnal, who someone said, how did we get in together on this? And it was when, and if people look at the history, we were both on the Defence Select Committee when he chaired it, and he's been very effective, an advocate, and I pay huge tribute to him. But there are also, I think, been many members of the House from all sides, who some are no longer in this House, who made a contribution over the years, and I think their support needs to be recognised as well. But I think in terms of ministers, I'd just like to put on record the, I think, tenacity in which the honourable member for Sutton and Cheam, when he did this, was determined to get justice for this, followed very ably by the member for Thirsk and Malton, who is, I've called him a poach term gamekeeper, but he's a very effective one. And he's been one that's driven this forward, not in a belligerent sort of way, but of patience, but determination that people who have been wronged will get justice. And that, I think, is what I think we should all think about in terms of when people turn around and say, no, you're wrong, the system can't be questioned, or at times when it does seem very lonely, when you're actually arguing what does seem a lonely furrow, that it is important that you just keep going. If you actually know in your guts that things are wrong, and this was one of those cases, but it's certainly been championed by the Minister, who's been an excellent advocate on behalf of this, making sure, and it's not easy, I accept some of the decisions he had to take have not been easy, not always welcomed by everyone, but he's tried his best, and I think we've got this bill today because of him, which I think is very good. Can I just one last thing, and his unfinished business, he knows what I'm going to say now, on capture, which is the pre-Horizon scheme, which I've been investigating, and I think will hopefully we'll get justice for those individuals as well. But again, the Minister is determined to get the bottom of that by appointing the independent investigators to look at the cases that I've referred to him. I should be looking from afar with interest, but I know that whoever picks his brief up or whoever's in the case will not be able to put this one down unless they get that justice. But people say in politics, Mr Speaker, can you actually achieve anything? There's a lot of cynicism these days in doing it. Can I say to anyone who's aspiring to become a member of this place, you can change things, you can make a difference. You've got to be persistent and actually ensure that, most of the times, people across the other side of this house may be, political opponents, but they're not our enemies. We do the best in this place when we actually work together. And this has been an example, I think, of where cross-party working has got final justice for these people.
And thank you, Kevan. Minister.
With the leave of the House, Mr Deputy Speaker, just a few final comments, if I may. The Shadow Minister asked about the capture software that was also used prior to the Horizon software. We are, on the advice of the right honourable friend, the member for Durham North, has pushed this very strongly, and we are appointing an independent investigation into these matters, which we anticipate will report later this year, so I'm sure he'll take a keen interest in that, as will the front bench. In terms of redress, it's very important that we get redress out as soon as possible. This opens the door to redress for hundreds of people, victims of this scandal. Rapid redress we like to see, and we believe we can get redress paid from July onwards, when the new scheme will be put in place. In terms of the points on the Court of Appeal, very interested to make sure those people also get a fair hearing and a rapid rehearing of their cases and can be exonerated wherever possible. Can I also add my thanks to many of my predecessors who worked on this too, not least my honourable friend, the member for Sutton and Cheam, who did a fantastic job in very difficult circumstances. Clearly, the member for Motherwell and Wishaw, who's done a tremendous job on the all-party group, and it's always a pleasure to work with her. We don't always see eye to eye, but we usually do, and I understand her points on Scotland. Of course, we have the legislation now in a final state, and hopefully Scotland will be able to effect this legislation before their recess, which I know is only a few weeks away. It shows what can be done when we all work together, as he says. But a right honourable friend, the member for Durham North, he does tremendous work on the Horizon Redress Advisory Board, and that's the reason we are here. So there's two things the victims of this horrendous scandal want to see: clearly redress paid for their losses and people held to account. Both those things will be achieved because of his work and because of the noble Lord of Bethnal. And that I don't believe that either of those things would have happened had he not worked as he has, and Lord of Bethnal, because the evidence that we've seen before the inquiry this week, the shocking evidence I think we've seen before the inquiry this week, it's all been revealed because of his work and the noble Lord of Bethnal, and we should be grateful to them. And I concur exactly what he says. It's absolutely right. This place, many people are cynical about this place or the motivations behind why we enter this place. People enter this place to try and do some good and make change for the better. He has. Both houses have, and it's my pleasure to be part of it too.
Point of order, Rushanara Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank a number of colleagues who are stepping down. The former minister, his predecessor, as has been mentioned, who's stepping down, who's taken this bill and this work to the point he had, and also to my honourable friend, the Deputy Chief Whip for the Labour Party, the member for Halifax, who I discovered today she's stepping down. So I'm pretty gutted. And most crucially, my right honourable friend, the member for North Durham, as others have pointed out, the work he has done has been profound, along with Lord Arbuthnot and all the sub-postmasters who have been involved in this really important, powerful campaign. And again, very saddened that he's decided to leave the House, but I know that he will be a tireless campaigner to ensure that whoever is in power after the general election, that we ensure the work continues and the victims get the justice and the exoneration that they need. And we are all incredibly grateful for the work he has done with others across the House and across party and with the wider campaign. And as has already been pointed out, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it's campaigns like this and the others that highlight the power of our democracy and shows our democracy at its best, and our political representatives at their best. And Kevan is the epitome of that, along with other colleagues who've exposed other scandals working with their constituents. So with that, I want to thank all my colleagues across the House and the Minister for the work he's done on this very important issue. Thank you.
Very much. And this is such an emotional time for us today and tomorrow. And Holly, I didn't know, so we wish you well for the future. We're going to miss you greatly, but don't be a stranger, please. Same to you, Kevan. The question is that this House agrees with the Lords in their Amendment 1. As many that can say aye? Aye. I think we know. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. We now come to Lord's Amendment 2. Minister to move the motion to agree formally. The question is that this House agrees with the Lords in their Amendment 2. As may say aye? Contrary no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. Congratulations, everyone. That concludes consideration of the Lords' amendments received today relating to the Post Office Horizon System Offences Bill.